If you celebrated because you thought Mercury retrograde was over and you're still dealing with the same Mercury retrograde issues, then you probably have not been watching my content. We are in the post shadow of Mercury retrograde until April 10th, which means you're still kind of ironing out those things that you were dealing with, and then you get to move on to the next thing. In the meantime, we have a full moon coming up in the sign of Libra. I'm going to walk you through some other transits that are going to happen after that, and that'll take us to the new moon in Aries on April 17th. If this is your first time seeing me, I'm Sammy. I'm at Infinity Aura Ave, where I do a bunch of cool stuff for your aura, from skincare to hair care to tarot and astrology, anything really in the realm of wellness. And twice a month, I make these videos so we can talk about what's going on in the general astrology. You can book me for a reading at infinityauraav.com. As for these videos, YouTube gets the full video, TikTok gets the full video, Instagram gives me 3 minutes on the Reels, so you get a preview. And if you want to see the whole thing and you're watching this on Instagram Reels, you might as well just hop over there now. So let's get started. So lately, if you guys have been hanging out with me, I've been taking you through from the new moon to the full moon, from the full moon to the new moon, and in between the cycles of the transits that are going on, just kind of like some of the bigger energy shifts. I try to keep it pretty short. There's more that goes on than when I get into these videos, but like I said, you can book a reading to get a little bit deeper. So today I'm going to start the chart with March 30th. The reason I want to start that is because the first thing that happens in this shift, which is kind of like picking up around where we left off in the last video too, but the first thing that happens in this shift is on March 30th, Venus moves into Taurus. And Venus likes it in Taurus. That's her home. She's kind of returning to her house to relax a little bit. Venus had kind of a rough time in Aries. Now that she's in Taurus, she's a little bit more comfortable. She's ready to slow down and take it easy, and she's a little bit more in her element. She'll be here for a few weeks until about April 24th. If you see me looking over there, it's because I have another board with all the dates so I can kind of look ahead even further than we're doing here. Venus in Taurus enjoys comfort. She's a little bit more laid back, but sometimes she does have a tendency to overspend. This can kind of go either way, though. This is a good time to kind of like relook at finances and see where you are overspending, but there also is sometimes a sense of overindulgence in Taurus just because she is getting so comfortable. Then on April 1st, we have the full moon in Libra. That's why we're here, right? I check in with you guys, new moon and full moon. So let's talk about this a little bit more in depth, and then I'll go over the transits of some of the other stuff. Full moon in Libra, you're looking at me versus them in a way that's a singular and partnership, right? How are you showing up for yourself, and what do you need to release in partnership? Because the full moon is releasing, right? Now, on this chart, Libra is ruled by Venus. So this is a nice, comfy full moon of just kind of like reevaluating where you stand in this situation. You also want to look to your own chart where Aries falls and where Libra falls. But Venus rules this moon and she's quite comfortable in Taurus. So this is a little bit more relaxed than things have been in a while. Like I was saying, I was talking about the Mercury retrograde. We were looking at that in the sign of Pisces, and we still have Mercury in the sign of Pisces, which can kind of make communication a little wonky. I've talked about that with you guys before. And because Mercury in Pisces is still in the post shadow, you're still kind of looking over those Mercury retrograde issues. But we're towards the end of it because we got a couple days before that's really over. So a lot of that has kind of like sort of come to a conclusion. You still could be ironing out a couple of more of those things. We also have Mars in Pisces, and I talked to you guys about that too. Mars doesn't necessarily love it in Pisces because Mars wants to go, 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 action and defined action, right? He really wants to know where he's going. But Mars in Pisces is more about moving through your intuition. Now, this full moon is also in a square with Jupiter, which just kind of like makes everything a lot bigger. You're looking at the relationship between, who am I, especially with Saturn and Neptune in there, like really restructuring the self with Aries. Also, you want to look, like I said, to what um, house this rules in your chart. So you're looking at a restructuring of the self and how that has to look different with those around you. And that's not just personal relationships right in front of you. That's the things that you have a relationship with as well. So we're talking about anything, really. And how's that going to build comfort for you in certain ways? Because now we have Venus in this Taurus. Let's go to the ninth, Mars in Aries. We've already entered Aries season once the sun has gone into Aries. I talked about that in the last video. But some of the planets, like you could see, were still in Pisces, right? So there was a lot of that Pisces energy still lingering, especially with Mercury still in the post shadow of the retrograde. Now, Mars moves into Aries. Mars is ruled by Aries, and he loves it there, and he's ready to go. This is when a lot of the energy starts to pick up. You start to feel a little bit different, ready to kind of like do something different. Anything that has been kind of like put on the back burner because of this Mercury retrograde stuff will really start to pick up once once Mars moves into Aries. I'm talking about Mercury retrograde every time, and I can't get my words out when that happens, especially with Mercury and Pisces, but whatever. And then on April 14th, Mercury enters Aries as well. And that's when communication also starts to pick up. It gets a little bit more fiery, a more clear. Mercury in Aries is this is what I say I'm going to do and I'm going to do it, and especially with Mars right in there, like the words are finally coming out and matching the actions right here. February and March were like a long season of the end, like a end degrees of Pisces for a lot of it. Even if we weren't in the end degrees of Pisces, just in the beginning of all those transits, Pisces is still the last sign of the zodiac. So this is the end of a cycle. Aries brings in the new cycle, and we get some fresh new energy. So if you've been kind of like weighed down, held down, tired, frustrated, not really understanding exactly what's going on. Some of it's probably cleared up by now, but there's still like this lingering effect of like, I just can't. I just can't, and I'm doing my best. With that said, this is going to be a short video because I am tired. I'm under the same astrology as you guys, and I have been going through it. I almost honestly skipped this video, but I'm trying to be consistent and here with you guys, and it's been a year and some months now that we've been doing this together again, and I really didn't want to miss out. So I came in, we did this really short video. Hopefully it helped a little bit. I'm going to edit it and get it out for you guys tomorrow. You can check me out online if you want to book a one-on-one reading. There's also really cool merch and jewelry and candles for manifesting and oils for manifesting and wearing and stuff for your skin and your hair and all that cool stuff. And on April 17th is probably about the time I'll see you again. That's when we get the new moon in Aries. And that's really, I'm looking forward to this one because this is like a by the time we get to April 17th for this new moon, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like we're in a brand new season. We've left all of the garbage behind, trying to move on from the things that have gone on in the past couple months to even a year through the last cycle of when the sun went through the zodiac. I did tell you guys early February, March was going to be heavy, but we are getting into some of that fresh, new, ready to go energy. And with that being said, I am not fresh, new, or ready to go. I'm going to bed. Okay, bye.